Picture the scene, everything starts normally. Your body responds, arousal builds, anticipation grows, and suddenly, without warning, something shuts off. It's not a lack of desire, it's not a lack of willingness. It's as if your body hits the brakes before it should, and the silence that follows is usually heavier than any words. If you've experienced this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The erection starts, but doesn't hold. It comes and goes. And each time it goes, it takes a piece of your confidence with it. In my practice, many men describe this feeling with shame. They say that at first they thought it was fatigue, then stress, later age, until they realize the problem is starting to invade other areas of their life. Their routine changes, their mood changes, the way they see themselves changes, self-esteem suffers in silence, men start avoiding situations, they avoid intimacy, they avoid talking about it, they even avoid thinking about it. And deep inside, a question grows that no one wants to face. What's happening to my body? Maybe you've tried to ignore it. Maybe you thought it was just a phase, or maybe you're watching this video precisely because you've realized it's not that simple. Let me tell you something before any technical explanation. What you're experiencing isn't in your head. It's not psychological. It's not all in your mind. And it's definitely not because you're not attracted anymore to your partner or because you've lost interest. This is real. It's physical. It's measurable, and it's affecting your life in ways many people can't imagine. Because it's not just about sex. It's about how you look at yourself in the mirror. It's about the silent shame you carry. It's about that weight on your chest when you know the moment might come and you might fail again. It's about avoiding intimacy, making excuses, creating emotional distance, because it's easier to avoid than to face the frustration. You start doubting yourself, wondering if you're still man enough, if you're still capable, if she still sees you the same way. And every time your body fails, your self-esteem plummets a little more. You feel less confident at work, less present at home, less yourself. And the worst part, you don't talk about it, because there seems to be a deafening silence around this subject, as if it were forbidden to admit you're going through this. But I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. Millions of men experience this every day, and the vast majority are suffering in silence, thinking the problem is theirs alone. Now pay attention to this mental image, because it's going to stay with you until the end of this video. Think of an old cell phone battery. At the start of the day, you take it off the charger, it shows 100%. Everything seems normal, but just use it for a few minutes, and the level plummets. The battery charges, it turns the device on, but it can't hold the charge. An erection that starts but doesn't sustain works very much the same way. And when you understand this, a lot starts to make sense. Before we move forward, let me ask you one more thing. Do you feel the problem isn't starting, but continuing? Hold on to that answer. We'll come back to it shortly. As a doctor, I see this situation every day. Men of different ages, backgrounds and lifestyles, but with one thing in common. The body responds to the initial stimulus, but can't sustain the erection for the necessary time. And this is where the part that almost no one explains properly comes in. An erection doesn't just depend on desire, it depends on efficient blood flow and, most importantly, on retaining that blood inside the corpora cavernosa. The blood enters, but it needs to stay. Going back to the battery analogy, there's no point plugging the phone into the outlet if the battery is worn out inside. It receives energy, but doesn't store it. Something similar happens with blood vessels. Over time, factors like chronic stress, poor diet, silent inflammation, sedentary lifestyle, and nutrient deficiency affect the vascular endothelium, which is the inner lining of the arteries. This tissue is responsible for producing nitric oxide, the substance that allows proper dilation of vessels and efficient closure of the valves that hold the blood in. When this system is compromised, the body tries, the blood enters, the erection starts, but the charge is lost quickly. Now tell me something. Does this explain why sometimes the erection appears but disappears without control? Does it explain why medications work once and fail another time? Does it explain why anxiety increases even when desire is present? Here's a crucial point. The problem isn't lack of stimulation, it's failure to sustain. And this completely changes how we look at the situation. If this content is making sense to you and helping you better understand your body, take advantage of this pause and subscribe to the channel. Here I talk about men's health in a serious, safe way based on evidence, exactly as I would in my practice. Now we need to talk about something delicate. Many men, when they notice the problem, turn to quick solutions, pharmacy medications, teas, the famous blue pill. And I understand the impulse. When something fails, we want to fix it fast. But think about it. What do these methods actually do? They momentarily force increased flow. It's like increasing the phone's brightness to compensate for a bad battery. It works for a while, but the wear continues. They don't restore the endothelium. They don't recover arterial elasticity. They don't repair the retention capacity. Result? Psychological dependence, fear of failing without help, and the frustration returns as soon as the effect wears off. And then comes the question that changes everything. Now let me make you think. What if your body wasn't asking for medication, but for reconstruction? When we understand that the problem is in the battery, in the vascular capacity to sustain flow, the path stops being about forcing and becomes about restoring. This is where well-formulated nutritional strategies come in. Compounds that directly participate in nitric oxide production, reduction of endothelial inflammation, and improvement of vessel elasticity. Not as momentary stimulants, but as support, so the body can return to doing what it always knew how to do. This type of approach doesn't act like a shock. It acts as a process. And there's an important medical warning I need to give. Vascular health is progressive. It doesn't stand still. It's either improving or getting worse. Each month without care is a small step in the wrong direction. Ignoring it now can make recovery more difficult in the future. When the right support begins, the reports usually follow a pattern. More stable erections, less anticipatory anxiety, more energy throughout the day, improved mood, deeper sleep. And most importantly, the feeling that your body has returned to cooperating, not sabotaging. See how this goes beyond sex. We're talking about circulation, metabolic health, vitality. When presenting any nutritional support protocol, what I always explain is this. Endothelial tissue renewal processes usually take about 120 days, according to scientific literature. That's why approaches of 3 to 5 months are common when the goal is to give the body time to reorganize itself. This doesn't replace individual medical follow-up. It's not a prescription, it's physiological understanding. If you want to learn about this type of protocol, the link to the official website is here in the video description, with all the technical information organized for easy reading. And let me touch on a sensitive point. Many men feel shame or fear that someone will find out about their purchase. This is more common than you imagine. That's why it's important to know that delivery is completely discreet, with neutral packaging, without product identification or any embarrassing information. Finally, I want you to remember this. Taking care of erectile function isn't vanity. It's health. It's self-care. It's respect for your body and your future. When you understand the signal, the anxiety decreases, fear loses its power, and decisions stop being impulsive and become conscious, and that in itself is already a big step. Take care, and see you in the next video.